to like 6.5. But I always was working. It's kind of funny because I always worked in St. Pete, so all my friends are there, and now I moved to St. Pete, and now I'm working in Tampa, so it's kind of funny.
That's generally how it works too.
I'm like, well, maybe I'll move back to Tampa then. I don't know.
That Blueberry Festival is awesome in
Well,
Brazil.
for that,
Yes.
let's bring it in. Let's bring it in. How's lunch? Hope it was great.
Yes.
It was quick, but necessary.
Any questions about mod 1?
Surprisingly, no.
Yes, Mach 1. And
I asked so many.
don't mention final expense in Mach 1.
Or 2.
Right, or 2. I got that. I wrote it down. But you were talking about 1, so I only addressed 1.
I'm sure we're gonna give it 3 more minutes. Give it 3 minutes.
And then are we gonna like go to review and module 2?
Unless you wanna go to my 6.
For establishing
Whatever you say, teacher.
clear authority.
We're gonna give it 3 minutes and then we'll jump into mod 2.
Do we normally get a lunch hour, like an hour lunch?
It is your call. You mean in training?
No, not in training, like on the floor.
On the floor, it is your call. It is your money. You want to hit 6 hours of talk time a day. How you break that up, what you do to get that is completely up to you. A lot of times, people don't take much at all. It really depends on what your grind is. So. I know I used to, not that I'm saying that, no, you guys shouldn't take a lunch. Definitely not saying that. But there have been times, especially when I was really on and really doing.
But if you're in the groove,
It was 3 o'clock before I'd know it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even eat lunch. But that's when you're really focused. A lot of this is really, again, and we will talk about mindset a million times over, but it is really where your head is and where your focus is. And where focus goes, energy flows, all of that stuff. So when I was on the floor, so I came in a little bit of me, came into this from the front end. I did that for about 3 months, if that, it might have been 2 months, but I know during training, they mentioned the opportunity on this side. And I really only did the front end because I was waiting for another job opportunity we're kind of debating on pay. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that while I wait. And in doing that, they mentioned this. And I was like, oh, that sounds intriguing. But they also said that you'd have to do front end for at least 6 months and be offered the opportunity to come over. But I did really good on the front end because I have been working for myself for 2 years. And I said, if I go back to work, I need to work because working for yourself is hit or miss. Some months will be beautiful, some months will die. So decided to come back to work, did that for a little while, was doing some other stuff too, and heard about this. After I did that for a few months, the money was okay, but I was used to making money, so I'm like, I can't do this.
so you were already a licensed agent. So you became
On my way out, because I was like, I can't do this nice. And the environment was really good. So I liked the work environment with the management. I had interacted with Eric a little bit, the owner, one of the owners. And I was like, oh, I like the feel for the people, but I can't do that. That was not me. So met Andrew and he was like, if you're serious about it, you get your license. So I literally came here with no knowledge of final expense, of life insurance at all. Got my license and then came to do this the following week. And I think not knowing anything about final expense, life insurance, and just learning the process and only having the process to go off of is why I was able to do so good. So
goals. I hope I'm like you.
It's really just about focus. My intentions were to get it and to get 100,000, 130,000, whatever. I just was locked in. My first day On the phones, I made, I think, one, maybe two sales, and it was like, okay, so this process thing works. Let me just get better at it. Let me keep doing it. And I literally just locked into the process. I focused. I was on the phones and I was going. And yeah, I think my biggest week was 1,400, a little bit over 1,400 for a week. And that was when I had come off of the phone to train for a little while and jump back on. I think prior to that, it might have been, I think, 12,000. I'm saying 1,400. 14,000 for the week. It was like 12,000 prior to that, but even with jumping out of training, and it's a little harder to get into the groove when you're out of it. So when you guys lock in, once you start, because it'll take a little while. Let's say your first couple of weeks on the phone, you're really building up because let's say you guys get out of here it'll be 2 weeks from whatever Friday, or a week from Friday. So it may be the 3rd of February when a lot of your deals start funding, because Social Security disability, you will start scheduling your premiums around that time. So more than likely, the 1st and 3rd, the check that falls there will be your big check. So it may take a couple weeks for you to see all the work that you're putting in, but once you consistently do that, then obviously it will start trickling in. So once you get in your groove, your routine, you're moving, you're going, it's easier to keep that momentum when you have it. You have a day that you decide to take off, or you just come in and you're just not focused, and then you're off your game, and then to build that back up, it takes a little while to build it back up, obviously, just like with anything else. So jumping out of training, jumping back on the phones, the process is the process. So once I, took a couple of days and I really got back into it, but it is the jumping in and out. It's harder than if you're in it consistently and you're locked in and you're focused and you're going. But even with jumping in and out, I still was able to do a decent week. I think that might have been in July-ish, maybe June. But so the money's there. It's just deciding, okay, am I going to worry about everything that's going on? And I love everyone out there. When I'm on the phone, we're not friends. We're not, like, I'm praising and encouraging, but when you're on your calls, like, focus, lock in, like, that is big. Even with, on the other side, I went over there, but I'm not trying to make friends with you. Like, I'm coming to work. So it's really about where your head is. I'll see you guys after 6 o'clock whenever everything shuts down. But while we're here, healthy competition is good, but having your goals set for the year, then down to, okay, well, within 6 months, I should be about here, or with the first quarter, then break it down to the week, to the day, so that you know what it is you're doing, you know where your head is at, and you're looking at your end result. Focus on a goal, pick a goal, have a goal, period, because without it, you're just kind of aimlessly moving forward, maybe.
I've already picked my goal. Sorry. Sorry to you.
What was your biggest paycheck, your biggest? 14,000 sounds like a lot.
But so that's 14,000 AEP. So you have to remember that we make 25% of that, and it also depends on where your policies lie, or how they hit, or when they drop, and so on and so forth. So maybe about 4,000, I guess. And I'm really just guessing, because that might not even be right. But I'm big on moving forward. I don't stress money at all anymore. And that's something I learned like a year or two ago. And the less I stress, the easier it comes. And that is huge. So even like, I don't count my paycheck before it comes. I just know if I'm working every day and I'm putting it in, and I know if it's falling, it's going to keep falling. So half of it goes one place, another half goes someplace, and then I have no less spending money. So I really don't think, or I just work.
That is a question of mine, because we're W-2 employees. Do the taxes out of our commission come out, or do we have to file separate for 1099 on that?
Because you're W-2, it should come out. But don't make me lie. That's a Melissa question. I don't pretend to know stuff that I don't, and I don't want you saying, well, I ain't sitting. Ask Melissa. This will be my first. I have to file taxes because December 2nd made a year since I've been here. So this is really my first time filing.
They'll be taking it likely out of all monies because we're W-2. If we weren't, we would be 1099. That's when they don't pay taxes, okay? So W-2 means you're gonna be having
That
taxes.
sounds
pulled.
right, I just wouldn't
Smart.
hang my hat or paycheck on it, cause I really don't know, but
I
that
figured
sounds
it,
right.
I figured that might be the thing, but I don't know. Just cause I feel like when I was trying to look up like pieces that were retiring, I found this gem, everything was like 1099, commission only, and I was like,
Yeah, that's tough. That's what, I mean, really, in all honesty, this is a beautiful opportunity. And just like with all opportunities, it is what you make of it. And we are planning on growing substantially. So learning your job right now first is first and foremost. But from there, it really, you making it what you want it to be is really up to you. But yeah, locking in, learning this part first. And
Exciting.
this is a
take it into the mood.
interesting part.
The report?
No, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm learning a lot too, because I got licensed 2 years ago, but that was.
You haven't used it. No, that's fine.
Wow.
Again, you're at a,
So that's why I'm asking a lot of questions that might be silly to you guys.
No, that's not silly.
I don't know.
ask the questions. I know Miss Madison is probably, appreciating the questions that are being asked, since, she hasn't done this either. Miss Susan is just now moving into getting her stuff together too, so it
Okay,
is
so
a
that's just
huge
me.
benefit to be new. I mean, like I said, I think that was probably the best thing that I could have, done as far as one of the perks was that I didn't know
I
anything.
had an experience and I literally did it for like a couple weeks and I had got with the company, they sent me a bunch of stuff online, so like a few videos and a bunch of stuff to read. And
That's tough.
yeah, they sent me a trainer from Fort Lauderdale. They said this is local. She came and took me to 2 homes and she was pretty aggressive and kind of rude with the older folks and I don't like that at all because I love old people. And she was like, I even wanted to kind of like, girl, what are you? And it just gave a bad taste in my mouth and I was kind of traumatized.
Yeah.
That's why I never used it. I was like, yeah, I was like, how could you even talk to these people like that?
Well, Miss Madison said she loves your questions. I believe that's what she's saying she loves. So, with that
Thank
being
you,
said,
Madison.
we will move forward and hopefully give you some more information so that you feel more prepared. But before you get going, you will definitely have everything you need. You guys will have everything you need to be confident. And also, remember, you know a million times more than the person you're talking to about finance. So, and the first day that you're on the phone, maybe the first 2 days, it's going to be you getting your feet wet, figure it out. Mess up if you have to, but learn from it so that it won't keep happening. And then day 3-ish, we'll start listening and giving hints and helpful stuff to use and coachings and things like that. Cool. So, yes, the questions are helpful because she's far, so she's participating, but I know some of the things that you're probably asking, like most people who haven't done it before, they're valid questions. Okay. All right, mod 2, the fun stuff. This section closes your call for you later. Decision and certainty always speak it. Yes, certainty and decision you want to in everything, even if, as much as you can do it. I know for certain, again, assuming the sale before it even happens, you are doing that for you, but you're also doing it for the customer, the client. That is huge. So you're helping them make a decision before they even realize they're making a decision. And in the whole scheme of things, you're helping them, period. A lot of times people, it's not that they don't need it, everybody needs it. So helping them feel comfortable enough to make that decision and informed enough to make that decision is beneficial for them. And you help enough people get what they want, you in turn will get what you want. Active questioning gets them talking about themselves. We need to know about them, build rapport if we're going to get them all the best possible benefits available. Praise their answers. Again, you cannot praise enough. You cannot praise enough. You cannot praise enough. Why do they live where they live? If they've lived somewhere their whole life, ask them, "Ooh, what's kept you there all this time? Why haven't you left? What's your favorite thing about it?" Don't let somebody say, or being married for 52 years. Oh, wow. You don't want to breeze over that. or somebody that mentions their wife a million times before you even ask about it, like, you love your wife, like, that's a big deal. Like, they're not just saying these things just because, like, that's really how they feel. Acknowledge them and have a conversation. Um, what do they love about it? Why did they move? This is more about why they live where they live. What story have you written? Or what story have you written to give back to them after they tell you your answer? So we keep talking about stories because stories are huge in all of this. We will write stories and you'll see why and have them related or for mod 2, but we'll work on stories in mod 4. But giving back, just having stuff ready. Because sometimes if you don't have a prepared story, you might think I can just talk to somebody, but just talking versus knowing or having an idea. You don't have to have specifics, but just having an idea of a story behind your family or what you're willing and able to share. Some people you'll genuinely connect with and just really just talk to them. But sometimes the people that are a little more difficult, having prepared stories or having something in mind that you want to discuss is big. We're making friends in this sections first and foremost. Use word tracks to extract as much information as possible. Praise them for giving the information. Tell your story, give them something back. Use certainty and decision. I know I said ask a question, ask 2 follow-up questions. That's what you're doing. You are pulling information. You're sounding interested. It is good to get more insight because they may say something that you don't know. So ask. Do not be afraid to be clear. Employment. We want to know if they work, if they're retired, and where their money comes from. So you're asking that question in general, but you don't want to not ask that question because you don't want to get to where you're talking about costs and you have no idea if they're working, what they do for work. Someone that is retired from being an electrician versus someone that is retired from Walmart, 2 completely different things. So keep that, not knocking Walmart at all, but 2 different thought processes as far as what their benefits may be and how much money they may have to spend. So keep that in mind. All of the information that you're getting in mod 2, it is to let you get to know the client, but also to help you in future mods use this information to let the client know that you do understand them and you have been listening and you're building rapport, but you're also getting this information to help you in the future mods. We want them talking about feel-good stories while building rapport. So if they start talking about death, we want to acknowledge that they're talking about someone they lost and, I'm so sorry for your loss, but you don't want them to take you down the rabbit hole of loss. We'll talk about that in mod 4. You can say, well, what was your favorite thing about them? What did you love about it? What did you guys do? Get them thinking about the good parts about it. In mod 4, then you can say, so whenever Sharon passed, did you have instead of saying, did you have to pay for a funeral? Well, I know you mentioned Sharon passing earlier, did you have to pay for her funeral or was there coverage in place? Again, you're asking the question, but you're using information from previous to ask the question without saying, have you ever had to pay for a funeral? You could ask that, but you know that they dealt with loss, so why not use something that they've already previously given you? So feel good stories. We want them to be happy. Married kids, grandkids, we love that stuff, but you may come across someone that does not have a family or they are a loner, or they don't have kids. So you want to, even before you get to that section, if there's something that you hear them get excited about, they drive trucks and they just, oh yeah, I've been driving trucks. Talk to them a little bit about it because that may be their hot spot, because you may breeze over, oh, I'm talking about truck driver. And then you move forward and then come to realize he drives trucks because his wife died, he has no kids, and where are you if you didn't use that opportunity to get to know him a little bit? But in an instance where someone has no spouse and have no kids, well, who do you spend your time with? Who is it? Do you have friends? Because sometimes friends are closer than family. So who is it that you spend most of your time with or hang out with or look forward to seeing when you're not on the road? And just get them talking. So you have siblings? You guys pretty close? Because I know me and my brother are closer than me and anybody else. And you just go into trying to figure out, well, who do they love? Who would be responsible without saying, well, who would your beneficiary be if you died? Nah, it's not mine too. Not mine too at all. And you don't ever really want to ask that period unless you're collecting the data. You get to month 7, and that's a question that you have no answers to because they're like, yeah, I need coverage, and you haven't uncovered it. But 9 times out of 10, you would have already uncovered their person, because they're, oh, my friend Sandy, this is a true story. I don't know if the name was Sandy, it was not Sandy, but she gardens. She has a friend that she gardens with, and she knows that her friend would be the one to look out for her expenses, and she did not want to leave her friend trying to figure out how to pay for her funeral. So she wanted to get something in place. I wanted to have a little bit left over so she could keep my flowers going, or what, you never know, but you will not know if you don't find ways to connect with your client. And even if they are a bit dry, maybe because they don't have a lot of people that have honestly wanted to talk to them or shown interest in them. So the ones that are a little hesitant, so the ones that are a little hesitant, don't give up on them. Don't throw them to the side, because chances are they're like that with everyone. And if you find a hot spot for them and get them talking, you'd probably be able to do something for them that no one else has, because nobody else tried to overcome the obstacle of getting them to open up. It's not that they don't need coverage, they do, but they don't trust anyone enough to have the conversation to get there. So do not overlook those. There will be, and we'll listen to a couple calls before the week is out, where people come through like, I don't need this, I don't even want this, or I'll never get my banking information. And before my 2 is over, they're like, oh, I love you, and they're ready to go. 40 minutes in, they're pulling out, hold on, let me get this for you, Brian, because I know you need my account stuff, and they're ready to go. So do not be, and a lot of times also, people will throw stuff out, even in mod 1, like, no, just to test you to see if you're willing to keep going or if you'll shut down. And most people, where they will just shut down, never get into the rapport build at all with this person, but this person needs coverage and they're a buyer, but they're just trying to see if you're going to bite, if you're going to buck, or if you stay on the phone that long. So people stick with the process. I have closed several calls that in the beginning, in my mind, I'm like, let me do the process, when everything else in me is like, I'm just doing the process because I know I need to, but they're not going to buy, and they end up getting coverage. So don't be discouraged or assume that you know, and everyone on the floor will say the same thing. There are several, and sometimes it'll be a very big policy that you would have never thought that this person would have gotten, because they were so just, but they ended up getting something and getting a good policy as well, or big policy.
How long did it kind of take you to overcome that one? You know what I mean? Like when I heard the audio yesterday, how she was so dry with you, I was like, I feel like I might be a little intimidated. How long did it take you to like push through that feelings of like, oh crap? Or did you not even have them?
Because even sometimes now you get on the phone with somebody and they're like, so you kind of feel that, but just the process. Go through it, and just
mind over.
It is. It really is, because you can talk yourself into or out of anything. So again, just knowing that, okay, this is how this works. I need to get some money, so let's make it work. It's like, okay, go on. You're gonna talk to me. If worst case scenario, you hang up the phone because I'm trying too hard to be nice to you or trying to be your friend, and you don't want to get to know me. You hang up. Okay. What next? So that really is the worst thing that could. Actually, the worst thing that could happen is they just stay on the phone with you, and then an hour in, because you did not try to make that connection, then they hang up. So I'd much rather it happen early on. But a lot of times, again, just knowing that, I don't even know if I was told the information on. Sometimes it might be dry, but if you can get past it, I think I kind of just learned that. So I'm telling you guys that ahead of time. Don't be afraid to talk to those people, because it'll be, and just listen, active listening. That voice inflection, the voice change, or you'll feel them soften up. There'll be something, if you keep trying, there'll be something that'll get them, or that you'll know, okay. So if you think of it this way, you start off the call with them on the other side of the table. They're not even, they're away from the table, like, who are you? And then you tell them, okay, who you are, and then they're listening. And then you keep going, and they're like, okay, well, this is, this type of policy. fixed and limited incomes, this might be so okay. And then in mod two, they're still there. You want to bring them on your side of the table. Before you leave mod two, you want them on your side of the table, and hopefully we can get you approved. It's built into the script. Hopefully we can get you approved and we can do this. You don't want it to seem like I and we. You want to feel like you're moving out of mod two with you guys as a team versus now. Even when you're talking about prosperity, hopefully we can get approved with them, and this is what they sent us, and and this is what they sent us, and okay, so they gave us this, so you are a team, and not, well, prosperity, let me see what I can pull. No, prosperity sent us this, so that's why it is hoping to get an approval, because I'm with you on this. Hopefully we can get you approved, and now, well, I have these quotes for you, and I did this, I gave you this one, and no. We have this, we have that, we have that. Which one do you want for Sandy? And you move forward. Yes? But yes, kids, grandkids, get them talking. When you ask them about the names, ask them about the names. And you, again, don't want to sound like you are taking a McDonald's order, or you want to talk to them. Sometimes if it's 14 or a lot, I'm like, oh, I'm tempted to ask those names and see if you're up for a challenge, but I don't know if I'm up for that challenge, and just kind of make a joke about it. But by the time you're talking about kids and you're building rapport, grands, who's your favorite? I won't tell. You can tell me. And just get them talking. But they love talking about everyone loves to be heard. So especially when they're talking about their kids or their grandkids, they're very proud and happy to do that. So encourage that. Let them talk. Let them go. The more you get them feeling good about them, the harder it is for them to say, well, no, they'll be okay. They'll figure it out if I die. No, I love that you love them, and I love that you want to protect them, and hopefully we can find something to do that.
You have to remember, it's in their best interest that they have that policy.
It is.
It's in everybody's best interest that they have that policy.
We are helping, we are providing solutions, so yes.
That's
Yes,
why I
yes,
feel
yes.
good about these type of opportunity. Now, like you said, we're not telemarketers, we're helping you.
And that's really, really, again, mindset and thinking about it that way, because that is what it is. I'm not thinking about going into this trying to get a sale, and you're trying to offer somebody an opportunity or provide them a solution for a problem that everyone is going to face. The time you spent talking and building rapport has a direct correlation to the percent chance you'll have at closing them later. And it literally does. If you spend 5 minutes in the rapport build, you'll feel it. Or if you move out of it and you're like, oh, I just know I'm asking help questions, but they are not feeling me. You hang up the phone like, I knew I didn't spend enough. That I'm speaking green. I hang up like, I knew I messed that up. I did not spend enough time in the report bill. I knew that was going to happen. It was too easy for them to say no, because for whatever reason, sometimes it happens, but it will affect you. So it's like, you might as well just stay there. But you have to overcome those things if you want it to close in the end, else you're just going through the motions and it will not pay off. So we're not talking life insurance, get engaged, put your script down. This part really cannot be scripted. So you know that the main thing that you want to ask is, I wasn't going to understand, put your script down, but it's on your mind. I was saying that when you are on your call, do not be so ready to move to the next question in the script that you're not engaged in the conversation. So even in mod 2, if you have a little sticky and you're like, state, work, kids, and you just remember, okay, so we're going to talk about where they live or hobbies a little bit, and then we're going to talk about work a little bit, and then we're going to talk about family, and you know that those are the points that you want, because work, we need to know what this money's looking like, but the initial state, that's just an easy transition out of mod 1 into mod 2. Okay, so where you live? Why you like it? That's easy. Then we talk about work. So what are you doing for work? You talk about what you do for fun and why you like things, but do you work while you're not doing all this other stuff that you mentioned before? Oh, okay, you don't work anymore? Why? What happened? You're on disability? Oh my goodness, I hate to hear that. Was that work related or was that more health related? Tell me more. Oh goodness. Get into it. Well, I'm so glad to be talking to you. I can't wait till I retire. I'm jealous. And then you give a little back. So you just want to have a very genuine conversation. But you know, you talk about the state and the fun stuff a little bit, talk about work next, and then you talk about family. Wrap it up family, because the last thing you want to do is be all over the place, or you talk about kids and then talk about work, and then come back and say, well, I can see why your decision to protect your family is important. I just told you that I'm working at Walmart. What you talking about my kids again for? So you want it to make sense. You want it to flow. So you can bring up the kids previously, but bring them back to it before you move out of Mod 2, because it only naturally makes sense. So they may say something about their family up front, and you be intrigued or compelled to ask them about that there. But bring it back before you leave out of Mod 2, because the whole purpose of Mod 2 is getting them feeling good about the people that they love. In page 12, after the Mod 2 section, page 12 will give you some rapport building tips if you are struggling with rapport at all. Match the vocals. So you want them, if someone is very high energy, you don't want to be low energy. Even when they initially come through on the call, you want to match their tone a bit, but you don't, if they're sleeping, you don't want to go to sleep too, but you don't want to be on 25 and they're on 2. So warm them up a little bit. Hey, you want to kind of bring it down a little bit and then build from that. If they're a little slow or a little old, I don't want to say slow, but if they're slow, yeah, you want to slow it down for them. But if they're older, even if whether they're old or young, if they're slow it down for them. If they're older, slow it down for them. If they're asking you, you don't want to be going 17 miles per hour and they still don't even know what so slow down for them. Repeat the question and let them know, I want to make sure you hear this. This is some really good stuff. And in Mod 2, especially if you're asking questions and you're uncomfortable, or if you're uncomfortable, you're going to make them uncomfortable. So you want to sound as natural as possible. If they're being a little hesitant, sometimes I'll say I'm working on this, and I promise I'm not just being nosy, but I'm not tied to any one company. It's a bunch of stuff on this end that I'm trying to look for you, or I told you I'm not tied to any one company. I work for you. So in order for me to find you the best options, I got to get to know you a little bit and talk to them. But don't feel, even though they may feel rushed, don't let them rush you and dictate the pace of the call. Yes? So page 12 will give you some hints and helpful keys for building rapport. Match the vibe, active listening, read between the lines, listen for cues and clues outside of just what they're saying. So focus on them, lock in. Don't be doing multiple things, just that's your money, so lock in. Repeat and paraphrase. If they're saying something, then say back to them, so you said that, this and this and that. Oh, wow. So they know that you're listening. So that's some really good stuff. Rapport building, definitely take time and look through that.
I'm so good at that, but it's like I'm thinking too. I think I'm overthinking.
Get comfortable.
Because bartending, I do the same thing. Just try to get the customers to get out of their little mood and but
so get them to get out of there if they even have a mood.
But I try to get to know, because you always want to bring customers back to your bar. So I know I'm good at it, but I'm feeling a little nervous.
You're nervous. I mean, that's good. Be nervous, but be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Structured, I guess.
Okay, and even if you think of it as talk about the state a little bit, talk about their work a little bit, talk about their family. Just remember those things and just talk to them, and it will happen naturally. Once you get through your first 2-3 calls, then you'll be fine. Maybe even by the time you guys get through rapport building and you get a hang of it, you'll be fine. Don't overthink it. If you can build rapport in person, face to face, because sometimes that's more uncomfortable. You can do it over the phone, because again, the worst case scenario, they hang up with you. But it is hard to hang up on someone that's just genuinely talking to you and just trying to get to know you so that they can help you. You'd have to be in a pretty bad place for that to be your go-to response. So
I just overthink.
the fun state facts are there for you as well. Page 14. This is helpful to have and to use, because even knowing something random about their state may be the icebreaker and may be the thing. And you come in and they say, "Oh, from Tennessee," and while you're moving through Mod 1, you pull out your state fun fact sheet and you're like, "Tennessee." You're going through and you're Tennessee. Okay, you said no to all the health questions and wonderful. Oh, Lord, we don't have Tennessee. Okay, that was a bad thing.
I used to live there, I can tell you about
Is
it.
there a reason?
I don't know. That may not be one that, because I think Sentinel is not available in Tennessee. If Prosperity is, then I'll find you guys some Tennessee facts. You know, someone on the floor, his name is Kenny, and I love him. He Googles. Google is there too, so don't be afraid of using your resources. You guys are on the computer now.
So Prosperity is covered in Tennessee. It's just,
Right off bat, don't make me lie. I'm gonna have to check.
All 50 states,
I
right?
like that you're on
Not
this
all
one.
50.
Hawaii and Alaska.
No. And California, their requirements are a little bit different. Some of the things that they offer in California, or they do not offer certain things in California. And the application for Prosperity in California is a little different too. We'll go into that more when we discuss Prosperity specifically. So, fun facts. Don't be afraid to use what you have. Again, Google also is very good to utilize because it literally has everything. You guys have access to the world at your fingertips. You will have 3 monitors, or at least a laptop with 2 monitors. You have all that real estate so that you can have stuff up in different places. Use what you have because it's there for a reason. So we will. I mean, Montu is really what it is. It's
So
not
to
really
lay on
anything.
cheese, like Georgia. So we were asking you for Portland cheese, would we say like how mama them? That's well, they
So-
like, is that gonna make them laugh? Or
That
like,
probably will.
like, how mama them? do
And
it?
then they'll be like, "What? I don't know. Heard that? That's what you guys say in Georgia. Is it what you say in Georgia? It's really just having a conversation. But if you can make them laugh, make them smile, then you are in there. Like, don't be afraid to be yourself. You want to be professional, so you do not want to just let you don't want to let your professionalism go out the door because you're building rapport. But you want to, be friendly, be approachable, be someone that they feel comfortable talking
So
to.
spin it like that, like, hey, isn't that what y'all say? Or wherever the
Don't-
thing I use is.
Don't overthink it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, I
You
would
will
think.
do-
I'm sorry.
You're
I
gonna
haven't
do fine.
been-
You are going to do fine.
You are the
Um,
job.
So, my 2, I'm checking to see. Yeah, Tennessee is Prosperity. So, I notated a fun fact, but you guys can Google. And look through your booklet. The booklets are yours to take home. So get familiar with your script too, but read through the rapport building. There's different questions in there that you can ask that aren't state specific, but are just good rapport building questions, point blank and period. And yeah, it's just getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, building rapport. I think that you guys all, from my experience with you guys are all going to easily build rapport if you think so. Because you guys naturally have good conversation. So if you think you're gonna suck, you probably will. But that goes with everything. If you think that you're going to be terrible at something, you probably will be. So don't think that. You have all the skills you need to be good, and you do it already. So that's what I'm saying. No, you're gonna do that.
They just put what you do on paper
We
in
need to
a
have
script.
a-
Yeah, before you get out of training, you'll be comfortable. You'll be more comfortable. But the first 2 days, you're gonna have a little nerves. If you don't have nerves, that means you're not taking it seriously. But one of my last trainees, she was very nervous, and we went to do a role play, which is the role play that you'll do with me before you start taking calls. And she went on cue so that I could call her, and they had turned her phone on, so she got a call in, and I hear her saying, "Hello, this is Ann," and I'm like, who are you talking to? And she had a live transfer. So her first call, I think it was like a $35,000 policy. It was over $100 a monthly AEP. And when she hung up, she was like, did you plan that? Did you trick me? Did you call? But it was just her, again, going straight off the script because she didn't know anything and she
thought she was about to be talking to you,
mhm.
and you thought she was about to be talking to you.
And I heard her get a call, but I was confused as to what happened. But I was
It
like,
worked out.
we're gonna let her go. And then she's just like, so she was more relaxed because she did think it was me, so she wasn't overthinking. And then she even thought that I was playing with her. Like I had a friend call, is what she said. That wasn't your friend. I'm like, no. She's like, no, that was really mine. So really, just let it happen. You'll have the skills you need, so don't overthink it. All right, so. Transitioning, whatever, 210. Transitioning out of mod 2. So you're going to ask all these wonderful questions, and then you're going to close off with, I see why getting final expense protection is an important decision to you. I certainly love my family, and making sure that they're protected is very important to me too. So if you're having a hard time coming back out of the rapport build, then an easy transition is, I could talk to you all day, but I do want to give you some information about this insurance. And I was like, oh yeah, good. If I can get you approved, you're amazing. I feel like I know you, which is good because if I can get you approved, you're stuck with me till death do us part. So, and sometimes I'll say, I'm not your life insurance agent. I am your agent for life. So, till death do us part. They like that. It's cheesy. They love it. And you've already built rapport at that point. So it's like, okay, I'm just talking to you. So you're stuck with me. So we'll have more than enough opportunities to keep this going. But let me give you some information about these policies because it's really good. And then we move into mod 3. Yes? All right. Yes. Go ahead. It is almost 2:15. So we'll take 10. 2:20. That's not 2:25. 2:25.
I'm sorry I was late. Gaither High School, so I'm trying to get my son into Gaither, and the administration office was calling me. And I got in my car and I just started driving, and I ended up all the way past Sickles, and I was like, oh my god! And I was still on the phone with them, and then I'm like at a stop sign trying to get the binder out of my bag to get your number off of here. I finally ended up at the light on Waters and Anderson, and I was like, I'm texting her as like literally, you know what, I just.
Because I saw it after you came in, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You just missed all the wonderful information that I was telling them about myself.
Oh.
So.
I feel like
She
we'll
was
get
waiting
time
for
later.
Yeah, I was trying to buy you a lot of time.
So do we continue to get paid on these policies after the first year?
That is an Andrew question because he's working. We've really just started with Prosperity. I think it has not even been a year since we've been with them, but there's some stuff that he's working on. Oh, I gotta sell it out there. Stuff he's working on getting together for that. But the next time we revisit commission, after you guys have an understanding of how it works, then he'll go into that part of it. So
That would really shock me if they do. Beyond that first payment.
beyond the first payment.
You know what I mean?
Oh, the first year.
The first year.
Residuals in final expenses minimal. It's barely existent, unlike bigger policies. So it's kind of funky. But again, Andrew will go into more detail on if, how, when, what. So you guys will really love working here because everybody's so beautiful and we do love each other. Like once we see that you guys are okay,
Like normal people.
right? Once we, know if you guys are crazy or not.
We're all
but-
crazy in some way.
No,
I
we are-
think.
we are all crazy.
We are. Better be.
So
Otherwise, we're not gonna make it.
right. Some of us just don't get checks for it all as yet. But yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
my mother actually gets checks for it, so.
Really?
But she's batshit crazy.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm not.
Probably makes you pretty awesome to, yes, listen.
I'm just like, man.
I have a neighbor that's held us captive for like 10 months where I live. Can't go outside without him screaming at us. The cops have been there so many times you wouldn't believe it. And guess what they keep saying? They keep saying, well, the laws have changed and there's nothing we can do. You just have to put up with it. And so he's outside, he's screaming, he's chasing cars like a dog, running people down. Can't have somebody at your house. And then guess what? Finally, I don't know why they haven't done this. The cops showed up, they said something to him, and he went in the house and he shut up. It's the first time in 10 months that we've been able to go outside.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's deep.
it was, but that happened. So I know all about that. That was a trying time. You know what I mean? And we're all still nice to him and still trying to, love him, and not call the cops on him. But I think the place where we live called the cops on him. We didn't. We were all still nice.
Nice is a fun thing.
Well-
Like, you can be nice and still stand your ground.
Yeah, but we were running. We didn't want to hurt him. And he was just, you couldn't
Now, I
have it.
know I shouldn't laugh, but I really want to laugh because I couldn't
You
imagine
should.
that happening.
It was horrible.
I couldn't imagine.
Oh my God, it was horrible. I think what happened was that this particular gentleman, his mom had gone into, they'd been together, I guess, all his life, but she had gone into a nursing home because she had gotten up in her 90s, right? And couldn't take care of herself anymore. They lived side by side. So when she gets put in the nursing home, I think he just had never
Lost
grown
it.
up in his life. I think he had always had someone taking care of him. You see what I mean? And it just freaked him out. That's why I kept telling everybody,
I can see that.
just be patient. This last time the cops went, so far it's working. Wow. Incredible. So that stuff's out there. It does happen. And what they told us, they said that they had to change laws because people were taking their elderly family members and just dropping them off and leaving them. Never coming back. Awful. Not what we're taught. And I love your elephant footstool.
Andrew.
Is it his? Mm-hmm. It's cute.
Trump up, that means good luck.
Yes, it does. I love elephants. That's good. Another thing that help us on the script, I think, just my opinion, is if we get highlighters.
I can get you a highlighter if you need.
That's great.
You're gonna have a soft copy of this email to you, but
because you wouldn't want to get nervous and read some of the stuff in parentheses. You know what I mean? Or read them on page 1.
But you're just now seeing it. As you keep going, you'll get more familiar with what's what, and yeah, usually if it's in parentheses, you just don't.
I think it might help somebody's just starting. Um,
No, you'll get a highlighter, and again, you'll be very, very familiar with the script, with all the role playing you will do. You'll know before you get out there.
Very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Just out of curiosity, I keep seeing like my phrase says do not praise health.
You don't want them to feel like they are so healthy,
Because they don't need this. Gotcha.
they'll live forever, or they can get it from somewhere else, or oh, if they do send a doctor out, it's fine, I can get it from anyone. So yeah, if they're like, then you want to. I'm glad that you can answer no, but you still want to build doubt because it's hard to build doubt if you praise their health all the time. So if they're, and even if they're old, you don't want to praise their health, but
Only when they say they're a non-smoker
that's good. Oh, glad you could say that because that is good, and
in general.
the rates are a lot cheaper for non-smokers. They could easily pay $20 more a month.
Yeah, I saw that.
Easily. But yeah, praising health and then building doubt kind of contradicts being able to build doubt. But we want them to be excited about the approval. So that's our like, I hope I can, hopefully, and even if they are healthy and they answer no to all the health questions, and we'll talk about that now, even if it is just their age, or even if it is, sometimes you never know with these companies, or even the MIB, because we don't know what comes up. So hopefully we can get you approved with something.
The MIB, I meant to ask you that earlier. Is that something like anybody can access?
Mm.
Like only underwriters can see the MIB.
I'm sure other agencies or there's ways to access it, but it would have to be health specific and because HIPAA laws and all of that. So
Yeah,
that
because
is
I was
something
like
that's-
thinking, probably be overthinking again. But it's like, well, what if they applied to other policies and they wanted to make sure they're repeating the same thing, so they went in and seen their MIB.
Yeah, they can access their
Their
MIB
own-
because it's
So you
theirs.
can't
their
access
own
your
personal-
own.
Yeah, they can access.
But probably they're not gonna even be thinking of all that. But
They,
it's just something that I thought of, like, could be possible, I guess.
And then
It's not
sometimes even people will say, oh yeah, we can get you this coverage, but they never ask them the health questions or go through underwriting or have them go through underwriting. So they're promising these things contingent on this information coming back where you have the benefit of getting them on the line with somebody today, having them check today and knowing that, okay, this is what it is.
getting something out of the MIB report that is on you where they house those records up in Maryland is like pulling hen's teeth, I warn you. I mean, you're emailing, you're begging, you're pleading, you're getting the address, you're writing, and then they still don't give it to you. You know,
Well,
it's
yeah, that's
hard.
because generally if they need information for the person who you're writing a policy on, the person who's getting the policy has to request it. Once they get it, then they are responsible for getting that over to the MIB. It's never on the agent.
Right, but
Yeah.
the people doing it are people that are in the insurance, you know what I mean? The
Mhm.
underwriters, and
Yeah.
they're able to do that.
Yeah.
But for us, like just a civilian person trying to do it, to get
Oh,
into
to
your
get our
record,
own record.
oh, that's difficult. So probably they would not have access to that. The client that we're trying to sell to.
It was just,
No, the agent wouldn't, but if it comes up when you're submitting the policy and it says that further information is needed, you're gonna get a specific email which is a CC of the one that your client is going to get, which states you need to contact this number for this information and then send us over the report. And it doesn't even take 48 hours.
cause they
Right.
could, cause they could probably appeal something if it was incorrect in the report.
Yes.
Like if they, you know, say, well, that's actually wrong or whatever.
Mhm. And then sometimes if it gets to that case, then it'll say, okay, well, you need to contact your primary care physician and have them send over the last 2, maybe even 3 years of your medical
5
records.
years.
5 years.
Well, it depends, and I'm just saying,
I hope I don't have
not
to do any of
exact, but yeah,
You know,
but yeah,
I
something
think you
along
guys
those
can see
lines.
that I kind of dive too deep sometimes.
No.
Credentials get you into that MIV.
Yeah.
All right, reeling it back in, and we are about to go into health questions. Miss Madison, you back? Okay. Team is out there doing some things today. Team, okay, good job, team. So, moving into mod 3. All right, yes, moving into mod 3. This is where we're gonna find out what they're eligible for. So we know they are eligible because they were able to move past the knockout question. So now in mod 3, we're going to determine what they're eligible for. Let's get money. Try to remember that. It's probably the easiest way to remember. Level, graded, modified. That's the order of the policy options or the level of coverage. Level, graded, modified. Level would be the best as far as coverage amounts and rates. Graded is next as far as being a little more expensive, and modified is the most expensive. So let's get money. That will help you. It took me a long time to decide to put those together because I was calling everything else. But this is for Prosperity specifically. Other companies will have different tiers and they'll call it different things, but for Prosperity, it's level, graded, and modified. So moving into module 3, you have your height and weight bill chart, so you'll check that because that could be something else that may take them from level, even being able to answer no to all the health questions. Their height and weight may make them graded or modified, depending on what bracket they fall into. Remember, if they're just a couple pounds outside of, you would hate to grade them down for 2-3 pounds. So ask them. I mean, if they're stuck on that weight, then that is what it is. But ask them because that could be the difference of quite a few dollars for the same amount of coverage.
Or do you just kind of say, oh, do you fluctuate in the morning?
I mean, can you ask them?
Do you not want to tell them that it's going to be cheaper?
Or you could
basically?
be, yeah, you don't want to say it could be cheap, but you can make the inference like, well, because those few pounds do make a difference when it comes to cost. And then they're like, well, shoot, am I real? Like, because again, in the morning versus nighttime, those 2 or 3 pounds could easily be up or down.
Yeah, they say take your weight before you eat.
First thing in the morning when you wake up.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
5 pounds more in the evening.
I was just
Yeah.
asking, I mean, can you just ask them on average what you
Oh, so yes.
typically weigh?
Or you can even say, would you be between and whatever the range is for their height? And they'll say yes. And then once you get to the actual application, then you will have to put in their actual height. But by that time, you built rapport, you talked to them, given them the information. But yeah, you can say, would you say that you are between 148 and 230? Yep. And okay, keep moving.
I feel like they have generously.
They have their prosperity, and that's something that when we go into mod 5,
Yeah,
prosperity
generous.
is
Yes.
very lenient when it comes to height and weight in comparison to quite a few other companies. There are some that don't ask height and weight, but with prosperity asking, they're very
Yeah,
generous.
268 pounds for my height.
Yeah, it's like that
That's
410
hefty.
up to 248. I was like, if you're 410 and you're 248, like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, I'm 4'11" and I'm like 105. I'm like
240,
damn, that's
right.
Good girl.
Right, I'm 5'5", I'm like
You don't
130.
get-
Obviously, like a teenager over here.
Check the minimal on
So
her.
that's good.
There is a minimal also, so keep that in mind. So, okay, Okay, so make sure that you are asking the questions. Now, if they try to cut you off before you are complete with the question, make sure that, okay, so I know you're saying no, but it's asking, because you don't want them to race you through it, and they're like, no, and you're like, okay, and you move on to the next question when underwriting asks, and they go through it, because they're not gonna rush underwriting. Underwriting is very, so they're going to ask the question in its entirety. You don't want that to happen on underwriting, because you just let you brush over it. So make sure that you are conversational, yes, because you guys have built rapport, so they'll probably laugh with you and be like, oh no, or the bipolar question. Well, my wife might say that I'm bipolar, but it's not on paper yet. So you're saying no. So you want to make sure that even though you guys are laughing, and in the underwriting prep, you'll say, I know we were, really light with it, but this game face, poker face, and it's funny because sometimes they will just switch gears completely and go from being all open and bubbly to you to being just completely cutthroat with underwriting, which you don't want them to do that, but you'll see that there is a complete difference between building rapport and then seeing how they either go back to being dry like they were at the beginning of the call, or they're just someone else. And one of my clients, after she hung up, she was like, did I do good? I put my poke face on. Did I do good? I'm like, yes. You did very good.
Because they went from talking to a friend.
Yes,
to authority.
But you want them to know this is serious, blah, blah. So in this part, you want to be professional. And this, again, multiple hats, it's a performance. So you do want to make sure that you're being clear, even though you guys may be having a good time. You want to maintain alpha call control. So you don't want them to have a joke about everything. So, okay, well, I know, okay, let's get serious on this part, because I want to make sure that we find you the right coverage and you reel them back in.
My question with underwriting, like, let's say that it happened and they didn't get covered because you put one answer and then come to find out it wasn't the answer. Do they like penalize you or keep notes as an agent towards you?
No, it does. It's a bad look, especially because as a small business, we are doing a very large amount of volume per agent. So we have a very good working relationship with Prosperity. So you don't want to just start throwing mess, because underwriting is notating. Even though they might not say anything on the call, if you're on the phone saying, oh no, don't say this, or remember, then they're going to make these notes, and Prosperity will review it, and then they will send an email, do not coach, or blah, blah, or they will reach out. So you do not want to do that. Underwriting may even say you can't coach, or say something along those lines, or, oh, excuse me, you don't want to. And again, that's why
you don't speak when you're on underwriting, but I meant like just genuinely, mistakenly, if you put no to an answer and then it goes through.
So you're not actually putting this anywhere. You're gathering this information so you know how to quote them. But in underwriting, when they go through the question, they're actually putting the yes and the no. So you're asking this for your knowledge, so you'll know what they qualify for, but underwriting will know. So you can rate them differently. Let's say you rate them level, but when they get through underwriting, it's actually graded or modified. Then they'll say, well, this client qualifies for this kind of coverage, which is going to be tough for you, because now you have to try to jump on and try to dance a little bit and pivot from why you told me it'd be this amount when it's really this amount. So they won't know exactly, okay, why you went level. Well, obviously, they told you no to everything, but it may be a medication that caused them to go graded or modified, which could be why. Or if you went graded or modified, and they may say, well, this client actually qualifies for level coverage, which is good. Other companies don't do that. They don't rate you up if you were quoting them something else. So they don't see what the answers are. They're asking them for themselves.
Okay.
So we initiate the application. It's okay. We initiate the application, and then we send it to underwriting, and they actually submit it to Prosperity. And again, we'll talk about that more.
Well, so it's good to make sure that they're fully aware, like it's in the script, but that they're fully aware. You gotta answer these truthfully. It says it in there, but now I see like how more important that it is. That's all.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. You're thinking ahead, which is good, but we will go into them. Okay, that underwriting prep, we read through it, but we'll talk about why. We'll see the application. The more you see, the more the dots will be easily connected.
How do you handle when they're under the minimum wage?
Eda say I want you to call back in 2 months.
It'll-
I have not had
Double cheese donuts.
anyone that has been, there was a guy that was close, but I haven't had anyone under the 8, but same thing, so, ooh, you're at such and such, you think that, in the mornings you wait, did you just drop to the, so you ask questions, if they're like, no, I'm 120, well, in order to qualify for this coverage, you have to at least be blah, 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 whatever the case may be, and then.
But wouldn't most of the underweight people probably have been knocked out in the beginning?
Because other
because
stuff
they're
is wrong
probably,
with them.
right, I feel like, no, you think people would be?
No, well, height and weight, we asked that up front, so that is one of the, because that could be
Oh, so we
disqualified.
can, oh, yeah, so
Height
we
and
can
weight
pull
is
it out,
there.
right, okay. that's true.
Height and weight is asked in the knockout, right? That's the last, after the last knockout question, you ask height and weight.
Oh, okay, then I missed, oh, okay, and how much do you, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Because that definitely could be a knockout.
I've had that happen before, you know what I mean? I just didn't know how you guys addressed it, but I've had some people that were underweight.
Yeah, there was a lady, but she didn't know how tall she was. She kept saying, I think 4'6" is where it started. She was like, I'm 4'3" or 3 something or.
Would you just tell
whatever
them you
she-
should
and I
go
was
get your
like-
ID and check?
She was older and there was a little bit of a language barrier, but come to find out she was like, I think that's what it is. So she had no clue and her son ended up helping. But yeah, you couldn't have them check their ID, but they may just not qualify. There was I had a dwarf. She was legally
There you
a
go.
dwarf and we had to go with guarantee issue coverage. So, yeah. But that height and weight is.
Well, they have a lot of health issues anyway, I think, well, don't they?
They
Can,
can, not always.
Not-
All right, so, we're conditioning them here, to respond with us when prompted to keep tonality and voice inflection, move, control, pace. Okay, regardless of their answers, we're going to have an approval for them, which is true. Depending on how they answer, it's either gonna be level, graded, or modified, but we do not want them to know that. We want to build doubt regardless of their answers so that they think that we're going to work on their approval to try to get them approved with the best company possible. Build doubt here. It's going to help you in my 5 trusted process. Do not praise health. Build doubt with tonality. So if they're answering or they have a lot of medications, you can give a couple, ooh, okay, you want to. This is a performance. So, or even like if they have a lot of medications, there may be all blood pressure meds. And for the most part, blood pressure meds, and there is a prescription list. You guys don't have your laptops yet. There's a prescription list and you'll go through the prescriptions and check and see what they have. Because some prescriptions, they may say no to everything, and then they have a medication that causes them to be graded or modified. So if they have a couple of prescriptions, you want, okay, anything else? You know, is that it? No, you want them to feel like, ooh, you give me work to do, but I don't mind because, again, I work for you and I love what I do. I'm a state-appointed agent. I'm not just tied to any one company because technically you're not tied to any one company. Right now, you may only have access to Prosperity, but you're not tied to any one company. So even if they don't qualify for Prosperity for whatever reason, because they get it here, and there may be a prescription that they give you that makes them ineligible for coverage, you can give them to someone to try to give them a guarantee issue policy. You can email me, and depending on if it's a guarantee issue knockout because right up front they were knocked out, I'm probably not going to call it back. But if it's somebody that you built rapport with and you're going through all this and they generally need help, then okay, I'll call and give them a quote really quick. But for the most part, at this point, you will be able to get them approved with Prosperity, again, unless they have a prescription. So they have a lot. Okay. So that's gonna give me some work. Building doubt is huge because again, you want them to feel like this is something special once the approval does come through. So you don't want them to feel like, oh, I knew that from the first time you talked to me. No, you want them to get excited about the approval.
What kind of meds do you remember were knockouts?
Cancer medications, Seizure meds typically are fine. There are some common, like congestive heart failure, depending on the amount. But Parkinson's, those diseases at the front end that were knockout, if they say no to that, but they're taking the medication, that there have been people where the doctor prescribed them for with a Alzheimer's medication, but it was my memory was going a little bit, but I have a client that said, well, she said she uses this medication and it worked for her, so she had me use it too, and it's for Alzheimer's and it made her ineligible. So things along those lines. You guys will have access you guys don't have another break. You should have your laptops tomorrow. I'm not gonna say you will for sure because I don't have control over that, but that will be one of the first things that we do. We'll pick up on Mod 3 tomorrow, so you guys can kind of click through those. But when you're in the meds, you want to Google them first and foremost to make sure that the spelling is correct, and then you want to search the prescription list, because what you don't want is if something doesn't come up, that means that it's not going to affect them being covered. It's not going to cause them to go modified or graded. So you don't want to misspell something and that be the reason why it didn't come up. It's not finding it because you have the spelling wrong. Google it so you know it's right. You can ask them to spell it for you, but I still put it in Google because they're older sometimes, they can't see, or it sounds like they said this and you put in that and it's not coming up, but again, it's just because it was not spelled correctly. So Googling it, not only will it help you get the spelling right, you'll see why it's prescribed, because sometimes they have some and they don't know why they were given a prescription. They're like, I don't know what that's for. Well, usually that's prescribed for this, that, and the third. Or they typically give that for whatever reason. And they're like, oh, you're smart. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, or no, I got Google. Just depends on your client. But either way, definitely use it because it's going to help. The more questions, there may be medications that are used for congestive heart failure and for blood pressure. You want to ask if they're telling you that, okay, I have this one for blood pressure, but what, have you ever been diagnosed with congestive heart failure? Because you know, and you'll see on the prescription sheet where it will give them, okay, for congestive heart failure, it's modified, but if it's blood pressure, then it would be level. So you want to make sure that you ask, because that may be a question that underwriting asks, and you would much rather ask it beforehand than it coming up in underwriting and they don't know how to answer, or they're giving too much information because now they're having a question asked that they weren't prepared for. And speaking of, if you look at page 21, and this is soft copy to you, Ms. Madison, but it's the RX list verbiage explained. That kind of will break down some of the prescriptions, or one of the prescriptions, and how it kind of looks. But we will go into this further tomorrow once you guys can actually see it, because it makes no sense to talk about it and then you guys still have to see it on your own.
So like coronary artery disease isn't the same as congestive heart failure or cardiomyopathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't be this.
And just like how the health questions are pretty verbatim, you want to, the same thing with the prescription. Just whatever it is what we're gonna go with. Keep building rapport throughout the call at every opportunity. Okay, so Mod 3 will read through these questions so that you guys are clear. As we role play, you're going to want to make sure that you're clear with the pronunciation of these things. So here's what I can tell you about these state-approved final expense programs in Florida. As you probably know, taking a medical exam is usually mandatory to get the best plans and the lowest rates, but because these are special state-regulated programs in Florida, one of the best parts is there are no physical medical exams required like with most larger policies. So I just have a few basic health questions to really see if you qualify. And they do check our answers against what's called the Medical Information Bureau, which is, really see if you qualify. The first set of questions were knockout questions, but these will determine the cost and the level of benefit that you may be eligible for to truly see if we can get you approved and who we can get you approved through. So they do check our answers against what's called the Medical Information Bureau or the MIB, and some people will say, oh, like the Men in Black, but for health, which is an insurance database that records any health questions you've ever answered, your prescription history, if you've ever applied for coverage in the past, or if you've ever gone to the hospital. So it is important that you answer these questions as openly and as honestly as possible, because the more information I know about your health, the more benefits I may be able to get you qualified for, okay? So, have you smoked any cigarettes in the last 12 months? If no, good. I love that, wonderful. Rates do, or if they say yes, okay, well, smokers rates will apply. And even that, you can use that to build out. Right now with COVID and breathing and who knows, because goodness, anything can cause people not to get approved these days. So hopefully we can get you approved. So again, any opportunity that you have to build out, sprinkle it in there. If you build too much down there, like, well, I probably won't even get approved. Well, I'm pretty confident in myself. Remember, I'm not tied to any one company. I work for you. So let's see what we can do. Now, in the past 2 years, have you been diagnosed or received treatment for any of the following? The use of alcohol or drugs, or been advised to restrict the use of alcohol or drugs. So it literally is that. Not, did your doctor tell you that you should probably stop drinking, or, you take the medication, you shouldn't drink for it. Like, this is asking if you have been prescribed something to wean you off of drugs or alcohol. So you want to make sure that you are clear on that and that they are clear on that as well. Complications of diabetes, such as diabetic coma or insulin shock, or having amputation due to complications of any disease. So again, amputation caused by a disease, not just an amputation. Complications of diabetes, such as diabetic coma or insulin shock. So not are you diabetic? Prosperity is actually very diabetic friendly, which is nice. So insulins, things like that are not even on the prescription list. So it's not asking if you have diabetes, it's asking about complications of diabetes. So again, diabetic coma, insulin shock, amputation due to complications of any disease, even if it's a toe. And if they say yes, okay, well, is it within the last 2 years? Because this question is asking within the last 2 years. So make sure, again, that you are going verbatim on these questions and literally taking the question and making sure that the client's response is a true yes answer if it is a yes. If it is a yes, it's a yes. If it's not a yes, you don't want them saying yes to something that shouldn't be a yes, because now they're answering yes to a question that they just weren't clear on, and we didn't help them get clear on, and now it will be on their med history as them answering yes, because once they go through underwriting, this information is documented. So you don't want them to say yes to a question that shouldn't be, and now it affects them getting covered in the long run, because now it will be on their med history. Question? Anybody? Heart attack, angina, chest pain, congestive heart failure, cardiomyopathy, stroke, transient ischemic attack, TIA, aneurysm, or had heart or circulatory surgery. So this is literally that. And these are, again, within the last 2 years. In the past 3 years, have you been diagnosed, treated, or prescribed medication for internal cancer, including but not limited to malignant brain tumor, malignant melanoma, leukemia? I will skip that section because I don't read it. But excluding basal squamous cell cancer, leukemia, or multiple myeloma. Again, this is specific. In the last 3 years, any of these internal cancers. Again, excluding skin cancer. Third one, in the past 2 years, have you had more than one conviction for reckless driving or for driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs? Not one conviction, but more than one conviction. So if they had one conviction last year and another one 4 years ago, that would be a no answer, because it is more than one conviction in the last 2 years. So I'm getting very literal with this. Have you ever been diagnosed, treated, or prescribed medication by a member of the medical profession for Parkinson's disease? Now, these are ever. So if you want to highlight ever, speaking of highlight, let me get that for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else need a highlighter?
I want one.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, I'm
I
sorry.
took mine out of the
I
car.
forgot my
Yeah, I was
pen
gonna
too.
say, I will call my phone.
Oh, yeah, I have that home. Oh, true.
I've
Been
all that
circling
stuff.
everything. I have highlighted at home a bunch, actually. I just didn't think that you'd need it.
Well, see, having worked with Medicare, they tell us to use a pink highlighter.
Yeah, I think I blue. When I used to, before I had my iPad, I used to take paper notes in school, and I'd like color code them, like, okay, pink is this, blue is this, to help me organize it a little better.
Yeah, well, it's that, have you ever in the last 3 years? those
Yeah,
are things
we-
you really
who
need to
need
pay
it?
attention to.
Oh, no, I don't need one.
Thank you.
I'll return this, I'll bring it.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Madison, do you need a highlighter? No? Okay.
I'll pass it to you.
Right.
You get it through by this day.
Okay. All right, so so ever on these, have you ever, Parkinson's disease, systemic lupus, SLE or sickle cell anemia, cirrhosis of the liver, stage A or stage B, chronic hepatitis, which would be B or C, or other liver disorder or kidney failure or any other chronic kidney disease. So, yes, I had chronic hepatitis, but that was back when I was in the Navy, so I'm good now. Ever. So that would be a yes still. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, which includes emphysema, black lung disease, or tuberculosis. COPD is common, even with non-smokers. Typically with smokers, you'll get a lot that have COPD, but even with non-smokers. Sometimes there may even be inhalers, and we asked about inhalers specifically, because inhalers may be so strong depending on the inhaler that it causes them to be graded. But so COPD, any of these is ever. Bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, or been hospitalized in the past 2 years for any mental or nervous disorder. Now, if they say, well, I'm depressed, or, are you bipolar or schizophrenia? No? Okay. Have you ever been diagnosed with bipolarism or schizophrenia? No? Okay. Have you been hospitalized for your depression in the last 2 years? No? Okay. So that would be a no.
So this is like a two-part question.
Yes.
So it's like, do you have bipolar disorder or schizophrenia? It's like one question. And then, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But if they're on medication though, that could put them into a different tier.
That's a question for, because they may be able to say no to all of these, but they're on a medication, like you mean for like the severe depression.
Yeah, so bipolar disorder, most of them are on some sort of a med, schizophrenia, a lot of them are on
Yeah,
meds.
so the med would probably correlate with graded. So more than likely, whatever medication they give you would make them graded anyways. But again, sometimes they say no here because they haven't been diagnosed with that, but they may have a medication that is so strong that it is basically also for people with schizophrenia, and that caused them to be graded, even though they've never been diagnosed as schizophrenic. Their depression or whatever they're dealing with could have them on a medication that causes them to be graded because of the med, not because of the yes answer.
Yeah,
Or-
like my bipolar medication is also used for epilepsy, I guess. I don't.
Now, seizures are, they don't cause any variation in coverage. So you can be on seizure medications and that would not affect coverage. Sometimes people are like, yeah, I have 3 or 4 medicines for seizures, and they still be able to go level, meaning it's not rated.
How come, if you even know, bipolar disorder and schizophrenia are singled out? Is it because they think people are going to do harmful
Lose it,
things or
and maybe,
something?
yeah, maybe do
themselves
something to
or
them.
To where they would die early or something?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know sometimes with like bipolar, you could have really high highs and really low lows, and then who knows? But yeah, it's
Yeah, that's why I said it's fair.
yeah. So it's more so things that they have, because some companies are more particular about some things than like how Prosperity is not asking anything, or they're very diabetic friendly, where other companies may ask about a certain amount of insulin, which would cause them to be graded or modified, or have a different type of coverage option available, where Prosperity is, they don't care. And I think with bipolar, there are other companies that would not cause that to
Yeah, I
go.
don't think my company, when I got mine, I don't think so.
So, yeah, but specifically for what we're doing and why we're asking, we want to make sure that we understand the questions clearly so that we can convey that same clarity to the clients. Again, if it's no, then great. If it's yes, be sure that it is yes, and then it's yes. And then you will determine the type of coverage that they are eligible for depending on how they answer these questions. So, at the top of page 7 where it says Part B, which is in the blue, and you'll see that the questions 1A, B, C, 2, and 3. All of those have a little blue number, which means that anything that is answered there, if there's a yes, that would be modified. So when I said the let's get money, another way to remember that is the sooner they say yes, the higher it's going to be for them to get coverage. The more, I don't know why I can't find the word, but the bigger a threat to the insurance company that they would be. So it's going to be more expensive to get covered. Like if they say yes right at the beginning, you aren't even able to be covered. You say a yes in the first section, so we can get you covered, but it's going to be a little expensive. Your yes comes in the second section, so we can get you a little bit more. You have no yeses, and we'll get you covered, and those are the best rates. So just to kind of give yourself an idea of how that works. But the blue section would be modified. The green section would be graded. And the no to any of them. If all questions in part A, B, and C are answered no, then the proposed insured may be eligible for the level benefit. Again, the may is in there because they may have a medication that may cause them to, again, either not be covered or to be graded or modified. So lastly, do you know which medications you're currently taking, or do you need to grab those real quick? You ask them that way because you want them to grab them. That you don't want to guess or just say, no, don't worry about it. If it's an extreme situation where they don't have it, but they are telling you, well, I only have one medication and it's for heartburn. I only have one medication that's for blood pressure. While you are running a risk of that med causing them to be graded, I typically still move forward if it's not many medications, because them trying to schedule a callback may mean that they don't answer again. But you are running the risk of quoting them something, getting into underwriting, and it going another way. So be mindful of that. You can use it to build a little doubt, but you don't want to build so much doubt that you scare them off of the phone to where they feel the need to call back. But if it's a lot of issues that they have and they just don't have it, a lot of times people will have it on their phones and that they text themselves, especially if they have a lot of medications. But if they're home and they're like, it's upstairs, well, go ahead and grab that, because I want to make sure that I can provide accurate information, make sure we can get you qualified for something that's actually going to work for you. Or, I want to make sure I find you the best options. You do want them to get the medications. And you ask them in that manner so that it seems like just, again, that casual confidence. You know which ones you're taking, or do you need to grab them real quick? Sometimes they'll start going through them and then like, I don't remember. Go ahead and grab them. That way we know. Or they don't know the spelling or whatever the case may be. So as much information as they have, go ahead and gather that. There is a little cheat sheet that you guys will have about certain medications that are good for, that are typically known for heart issues or for blood pressure. So it'll be frequent medications that you guys will have access to. Again, it'll make a lot more sense once you guys have access to the prescription list. Prosperity prescription list is very easy to use because it is a PDF copy, a PDF file that you can search. So you can type in the med and it'll give it to you. It's pretty long, so it has a lot of medications on there, but you'd rather that than blindly going into underwriting not knowing.
Absolutely.
Aside from that, at this point, you're going to be looking at the prescription list, so don't just guess or move forward without you want to try to have those prescriptions.
Does the amount that they take, say I take 10 milligrams of this versus 5 milligrams of the same pill, does that make a difference on level of rating?
There are a handful that will, because typically you just let them know, I don't need to know the amount. I don't need to know the dosage, just the prescription and what it was prescribed for. But there are a handful that will say, but it's a difference of like a 750 milliliters versus 300 milliliters. Once you check, once you punch it in, it'll give you both options. So at that point, you'll say, okay, how many milliliters or what's the dosage on that? And that way you'll know. But most of them do not, just literally a handful will give you two options depending on the dosage. But it's usually very extreme differences in the dosage. Yes? Okay. So you do want to check, you want to check. Don't move forward without using that prescription list. That's go with what the prescription list says. If it says this, but they're like, no, I actually take it for this, but the prescription list says if they take it, because it will give you some, if this, then this, or it'll give you some where it's just this particular medication. If they take it, it's graded. It doesn't matter what they say. If they take it ever, it's graded. Some of them do give time frames if it's been within less than 2 years, if they've been taking it consistently for this amount of time. But some of them, if they're telling you to the T, oh no, it's only for this, it's only that medication, they're not going to care in underwriting why. They're just seeing that this medication says it's graded and that's what they're going to run on. So you don't want to set them up for false expectations or get them riled up like, are you serious? Because the list says this. No, okay, well, hopefully we can get you approved. They take on whatever we take on. If we go into underwriting like, this is gonna be long and oh my goodness, they're gonna feel that. So if we make it seem like, okay, so this is the job, this is what we do, hopefully we can get you approved and just move through it, then that's one thing. Or even in underwriting, if you run into a hiccup and underwriting is frustrating you and then you hang up like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe they did that, let's call back somebody else. Or if the call drops, they feed off of us. So, oh, can't believe that happened. Let's get them back online. Good thing you got me. I told you I'm your agent for life, so we'll get through this. You want to take that stance as opposed to just being mad, because then they're going to get mad. They're going to get frustrated. So you want to make sure that not only is it unprofessional, but also you're feeding that into the client and they feel that. So the casual confidence is big. They're following your flow. Yes.
So you said if you're not agreeing with the underwriter, does that happen? That where you have to cancel? Or that
But sometimes there may be questions that are asked, or something may not come through, or the call may drop, or it may take them a while to pick up. You don't want to be like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe it's taking this long. So many people are trying to get coverage these days with everything going on, but we're in line, they'll pick up soon. You want to make sure that you're keeping them calm and not giving them, adding fuel to their fire. If they are a little bit annoyed, I know we've been on the phone for a while, but this is the last little part. We'll get this done and then you will be covered. You want to make them feel good. Are there any other prescriptions you've been prescribed in the last 5 years, even if you've never taken them or if you only took them for a short time, inhalers or anything at all? We definitely want to make sure that there aren't any surprises when it comes to the MIV. You want to make sure there aren't any surprises. So again, 5 years is typically what the MIB will see or what the underwriting will see. So even if they didn't take it, but they were prescribed it, it will show up. So ask them that. A lot
What
of
if
times
they don't remember? I don't
they
know.
may not, yeah, they may not. If it's something substantial, and we're not talking about antibiotics or anything along those lines. So nothing over the counter, just real prescriptions. So they may not remember. You don't want them to feel that type of way, but you can use to build doubt. Like, okay, well, I'll try to get you approved, but we never know what that might be. So hopefully we can even get you approved and you proceed. So again, building doubt is good. You don't want them to feel like, hopefully you can tell, but underwriting might knock you out because you don't know. No, we don't want to do that, but we want to, well, hopefully we can get you approved. We never know. Some companies are a little funny about certain things, but I'm going to do everything that I can for you and keep moving forward. All right. Then you thank them so much. I know those questions can be kind of lengthy, but I think I have all the information that I need. Not going to make any promises, but I am going to do everything that I can to try to get you approved for one of the best programs available. Just do me a favor, okay? You want to pause. Let them say okay, because they're going to be like, what? Okay. Don't hold it against me if I can. That's a little bit of built-in cheese, but they'll laugh. I'm like, oh no, honey, I would never do that. Or sometimes I'll say, so don't load up those grandkids. I know you guys are looking for a road trip, but don't use it to come look for me and hunt me down. I'm gonna do everything that I can. Cheese, cheese, cheese. They laugh. We keep moving. So then we roll into mod 4. We're gonna hold off on moving into mod 4. We'll take a 2-minute breather. So breathe, stretch, shake, and we're going to have a call. But that is mod 3. That is mod 3. That is mod 3. Questions at all about any of that? Go ahead, Ms. Hamlet.
Oh, no, I was just breathing.
Okay.
You know what? Believe it or not, I know someone, and their actual name is Helen, right? I mean, they use the name Helen, but guess what? Their name is actually Hannah. But to
That's
anglicize it
fine.
and to, yes,
Cheerleader.
yep, that must be. That must be.
Price list after laptops. Okay.
Well, she was very old when she passed away, so channeling her not bad.
Unless she was a beautiful spirit.
I bet she was too.
All right, so we're gonna listen to a call and
Didn't spend much time with her.
What do we get, 2 minutes? Is that what
Yeah.
that's what
you need, go ahead.
Well, maybe not run, but.
Let's see your name.
Girl, I forgot, like, I was rushing to work the other day and I wanted to put this on, it was all tangled. And I was gonna have somebody try to implement it for me at work. And I just saw it in there. So.
My
Are
husband
we
has,
finishing the same one, Miss Ada?
my husband has a relative who is a small person. He's probably gonna be, when he's grown, about 5'2".
5'2"?
Mhm.
Well, I
That's
would
a
say
tall
that
celebrity.
the dwarfism, because I remember learning about it, I was a biology major. And I remember learning about it in, I think, anatomy class or something. It could not always, but have like certain complications.
Mhm.
Because I never would have thought, like just in the day to day, whatever.
Yeah,
But
he's a
I
surprise. Yeah, well, yeah. There's nobody else that they've ever found anywhere in the family, even past that have it. Just him.
So wait, you said he's 4'2"?
No, he will be about 5'2" when he's grown. He is my husband's niece, her son.
Oh, that's not
Yeah, it is.
4'9". My best friends are one of my, I call my baby mom, my godparents' mom. She's 4'11",
Mhm.
and I believe it's 4'9".
Is it really?
But
Well,
5'2" is
he's
short
just
for
a wee little
for a
person.
boy.
He's just gonna be small then. That's all. And a friend of our family, you know what I mean, where you take that stuff for bipolar,
Mhm.
they've been taking it forever.
Same. I mean, I was diagnosed when I was like 13 or something. I don't know. Then when you're young, you're like, I don't need this, and you like do some crazy, like, I need this. So like, finally, like probably around like 29. Probably around when I was like 22 or 21, I was like, I just got on the meds and stuff to it. And it's very helpful.
That's great.
And I'm like all over the place. It's not any shame in it. You know, because you know what? So the reason.
All right.
Oh,
So we will get into a poll. And listen to Mr. Brian Townsend, I believe is who I just pulled up.
This would be the hot chair on record, period.
Please call.
Like, I don't want any hotter. Hi, it's Angela in the Final Expense Department. Hi, Angela. Good morning. This is Heidi. I have Teresa Rogers from South Carolina. The zip code is 29301. Do you need anything else from me? No, that's it. Thank you. Okay, Teresa, this is Angela. She's going to take good care of you from here, and I'm going to drop my end of the line. You have a wonderful day. You do the same. Hi, Teresa. This is Angela. How are you today? I'm fine. How are you? I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. And I'm so glad to assist you with your quote today. And so you know this call may be recorded for quality and training purposes. Teresa, to see if you are eligible for any of the 2020 state-approved final expense programs in South Carolina, I just need to ask a few quick medical questions to determine the level of coverage that you qualify for. Now, I show your age as November 8, 1957, which makes you a 62. Is that correct? Correct. Okay, great. The first two questions are regard to coronavirus, and they're just a simple yes or a no at the end. So I will start with the first one. Within the last 30 days, has a medical professional administered a test on you for coronavirus for which you tested positive, or for which results are not yet known, or recommended that you be tested, but testing has not yet been done? No. Okay, great. Within the last 30 days, have you been subject to a government mandated quarantine or isolation order, or been advised by a medical professional to self-quarantine due to suspected coronavirus or exposure to someone who has been exposed or diagnosed with coronavirus? No. Okay, great. I'll continue on with the questions. Have you currently, or in the last 30 days, been hospitalized, committed to a psychiatric facility, confined to a nursing facility, received hospice or home health care, been confined to a wheelchair due to a disease, or are you awaiting an organ transplant? No. Do you require human assistance or supervision with eating, dressing, toileting, transferring from bed to chair, walking, maintaining continence, or bathing? No. Within the past 12 months, have you been advised to have a diagnostic test, surgery, home health care, or hospitalization, which is not yet started, been completed, or for which results are unknown? No. Used or been advised to use oxygen equipment for assistance in breathing? No. Had or been advised to have kidney dialysis? No. Have you ever been diagnosed or treated for AIDS or HIV? No. Have you ever been diagnosed or received treatment for Alzheimer's disease, dementia, Lou Gehrig's disease, or cirrhosis of the liver, stage C? No. And last one, have you ever been diagnosed with more than one occurrence of the same or different type of cancer, or are you receiving treatment for any cancer? No. Okay, great. Well, I'm so glad you could answer no to all of those. You must be taking pretty good care of yourself, Teresa. I'll try. Well, that's good. That's good. And about how tall are you, Teresa? 5'3". Okay, great. And about how much do you weigh? 217. Okay, perfect. All right. So now, Teresa, these final expense programs have been approved by the state of South Carolina to help families against the rising cost of funeral expenses. So now that I know a little bit about your health, I'll be better equipped to help you with the costs and level of benefits you may be eligible for. Because these are state-approved final expense plans, they are set up to work directly with banks and credit unions. Teresa, I don't need your personal information now, of course, but you do at least have an active savings or checking account set up at a physical bank or credit union, correct?
Is this supposed to be good or bad?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Do you have a pen and paper handy? I want to provide you with my contact information.
Okay,
Just tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so again, my name is Angela, which is Angela.
Okay,
And my last name is Loftus, which is L-O-F like Frank, T as in Tom, U-S like Sam, so Loftus.
mm-hmm,
And my national producer number is 2158321. So that number is very important, Teresa, because it lets you know that I'm appointed and licensed by the state of South Carolina to talk with you today about these state-regulated final expense life and burial protection programs in South Carolina.
okay,
So Teresa, I know you're gonna need my help applying for these South Carolina regulated final expense plans. So I want to tell you a little bit about why they are so special, how to apply for them, and then you can let me know what to do from there, okay?
all right,
So final expense benefits are small, affordable, permanent, whole life insurance policies that are regulated by the state of South Carolina. And they're designed for folks that are living on fixed or limited incomes, like Social Security, disability, and I've even had the honor of serving some of our disabled vets. Even if you don't fall in those categories, Teresa, the policies are designed so that any income level can have something affordable for their loved one's protection. These plans are permanent, which means that once you have coverage in place, they can never change. These policies pay out within 48 hours and will probably be the first money your loved ones will see when that time comes. So Teresa, if we qualify today, I'll have a package mailed out to you in 3 to 5 days. That way you'll have everything that we talk about today in black and white, okay?
mm-hmm,
So I've been doing this for a while, and really my objective is to find you the top tier benefits based on your age and your health. So I don't work for any one insurance company, I actually work for you, and my role is to find you the absolute best situation out of everything that's available. If we can get you qualified, your benefits will be secured for your family by applying for them over the telephone without spending any money today, okay?
okay,
So as a state licensed agent, it's my responsibility to get to know you a little bit so I can really determine the best possible company, the best plan, and of course, the best price available in South Carolina, even if you've been turned down before. So have you ever been denied coverage in the past?
no,
Okay, and how long have you been looking for life insurance?
April,
Okay. And what was your inspiration to start looking? Is it everything that's going on with coronavirus, or did you lose a loved one?
no, when I retired, the insurance I had on my job, that was what I had, so,
Okay, and that terminated?
mm-hmm,
Okay, congratulations on retiring. So, or did you just retire in April?
yes,
Aw, how does it feel?
It feels good, but I think I'm getting to the point where I need to find me a little something to do.
Yeah, you getting a little kind of that cabin fever and you're ready to get out and about just a little bit, maybe do something part-time or?
Yeah, probably, but I think it's this coronavirus, it's just got everything, so.
I know everybody is kind of sick and tired of being in their home and, you know, distance from their friends and families. It's definitely something that it's crazy that we're all going through. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yes.
What did you retire from?
I work for Adidas.
Oh, really? How long did you work for them?
About 10 years.
Oh, I love Adidas. Wow. So what did you do for them?
I was basically I just packed orders to ship out.
Oh, okay. All right. Was there a big like distribution facility up near Spartanburg?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I haven't been to that area, but I really want to get to South Carolina. I haven't spent much time there. Are you from? Is that where you're from originally?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. All your life? Is it beautiful there? Do you guys have like good hiking and springs and places to go? Like you're in the mountains, aren't you?
No, I'm not in the mountains, but we're maybe an hour drive.
Oh, okay.
From the mountains.
Okay. And are you, how far are you from Charlotte?
About an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So is Spartanburg a small town or medium size? How big is Spartanburg?
This is a report bill specifically on this call is really good.
We're about 15, 20 minutes from Boonville.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, nice. And so I hear kids in the background. Are those your grandchildren?
That's my great grandbaby.
Great grandbaby. Oh my gosh, you're too young for a great grandbaby.
Yeah, she's 9 months old.
9 months. Aw, is that your only great grandbaby?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. How fun is that? 9 months is a good age. Is she walking yet? Or is she?
Not yet.
Okay,
A
crawling?
little bit slowly. Huh?
Is she crawling all over the place?
Yeah, she's getting around.
Good for her. That's great. So your kids, how many kids do you have?
I have one son, one granddaughter, and one great grandbaby.
Okay, so one son, and he lives near you?
Well, he lives in Charlotte.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow, that's nice that you get to spend time with your great granddaughter. That's great. And then so you're retired, you got your one son, and you got one granddaughter, and then one great granddaughter. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Aw, and then are you married or are you single or?
Single.
Okay. Nice. That's awesome. So what have you been doing during this whole, so like since you retired from April, we've had the pandemic, are you just staying at home mostly or are you like out and about, like visiting with your family or what have you been doing to pass the time?
Mostly at home. I visit my mom. I don't interact with too many people.
Okay.
Because we live here, so I don't interact with too many people.
Right. Well, you're practicing social distancing. I mean, that's the best thing that you can do. And how old is your mom? Is she in her 80s?
She's 82.
82. Okay. Yeah, my mom's 81, and I haven't seen her because I live in Florida, but I am gonna go visit her this weekend. But you know, I'll probably wear a mask around her and be safe around her. So does your mom live close to you? Do you get to see her every week?
You know, she lives about 3 minutes away.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So you can like, you know, check in with her, and does she live by herself?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. That's great. So, okay. And then with your son, what's his name?
His name's Cedric.
Cedric? Wow, that's a cool name. Okay. So if you were to get qualified today and get a policy, would he be your beneficiary?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys are close. Okay.
So
Yeah.
even though that's not a
Okay, and
today's
how old is he?
question, Angela was very, very smooth with it, and she'd already kind of
He's
built her up a little
45.
bit. She does
45?
not
Okay.
do that now,
All right, he's
but.
just a year younger than me. Okay, perfect.
But no, she's very
So,
smooth.
well, I can see why getting final expense is important to you, right? Because your insurance, terminated when you retired. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you want to make sure that you've got a plan in place for Cedric, just in case, God forbid, something happened to you. Do I have that correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, I think that's a great way to think, right? You're thinking ahead of your family, and I certainly love my family, and making sure that, you know, they're protected is very, very important to me too. So, if we can get you approved, Teresa, you're stuck with me for life. So I would be your life insurance agent from here on out. Okay, so here's what I can tell you about these state-approved final expense programs in South Carolina. As you probably know, taking a medical exam is usually mandatory to get the best plans and the lowest rates. But because these are special.
Okay. So Angela did that with asking a question, asking follow-up questions, giving this is what happened with me. Asking questions, follow-up question again, oh, my family this, my mom this. So it was back and forth. It was an actual conversation. The lady started off, I don't know if you guys noticed, but she started off kind of dry and barely there, and
One-word responses.
right, even with the health questions, like Angela was very chipper and perky, not over the top, like doing too much, but very professional, but she was welcoming. Her tone was very, okay, let me answer what, but she was still professional. She executed Mount One like she needed to. Had she not, the lady may not have even been willing to move into Mount. So all of that stuff is very, very important. Now I want you guys to listen to, we'll listen to the first part of this call. We may run it, but listen to the report, Bill. See if there is a difference at all between that report and this report.
Oh, it's warm, really? I thought you guys would be nice and cool in the morning.
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I'm down here in Florida. It's already hit the 70-degree mark in the morning.
Wow.
Thank you for holding. This is Anthony with the Final Expense Department.
Hi, Anthony. Good morning. This is Heidi with Joanne Geha on the line from Ohio. The zip code is 44030. Do you need anything else from me?
No, thank you.
All right, Joanne, this is Anthony. He's going to take good care of you from here. I'm going to drop my end of the line. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Joanne. How are you doing today?
Okay.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I just want to introduce myself really quick. My name is Anthony Mizuraka, and I'm with the Final Expense Department on a recorded line. I'm happy to assist you here today. Now, to see if you're eligible for any of the 2020 state-approved final expense programs, I just need to ask you a few quick medical questions to determine the level of coverage you may qualify for. Now, I show your age is 62 years young. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. And the first two questions just have to deal with the coronavirus. So it says in the last 30 days, has a medical professional administered a test on you for the coronavirus for which you tested positive or for which results are not yet known?
No.
Okay, great. And in the last 30 days, have you been subject to a government mandated quarantine or isolation order or been advised by a doctor to self-quarantine due to a suspected coronavirus exposure?
No.
Okay, great. I just have a few more basic knockout questions here. So do you require human assistance or supervision with eating, dressing, toiletry, walking, or bathing?
No,
Great. And in the last 30 days, have you been hospitalized, committed to a psychiatric facility, confined to a nursing facility, receiving hospice or home health care, or been confined to a wheelchair due to a disease?
no,
Great. And in the last 12 months, have you been advised to use oxygen equipment for assistance in breathing or been advised to have kidney dialysis?
no,
Great. And what about AIDS, or HIV, dementia, Lou Gehrig's disease, Alzheimer's, cirrhosis of the liver, or any form of cancer?
no.
Great. I'm so glad, Joanne, you could answer no to all those questions. Must be taking pretty good care of yourself.
Or luck.
Yeah, Marla. That's funny. And I do have to ask you though, about how tall are you?
5'4".
5'4", okay. And are you in between 98 pounds and 260 pounds?
Yes,
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, Joanne, these final expense programs, they have been approved here by the state of Ohio to help families against the rising cost of funeral expenses. So now that I know a little bit about your health, I'll be better equipped to help you with the cost and the level of benefits you may be eligible for. Now, because these are state-approved final expense plans, they're set up to work directly with banks and credit unions. Now, ma'am, I don't need any of your personal information now, of course, but do you at least have an active savings or checking account set up at a physical bank or credit union? Okay, great, great. And do you have a pen and paper handy or one close by?
stand by.
Okay, take your time.
Like when she said, stand by. All the time.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. So I just want to provide you here with some of my information, and then once the quote does come back, if you could write that down, I'd really appreciate it. But again, my name is Anthony, and I'll spell you my last name. It's pronounced Mizuraka, but it's M as in Mary, I, S as in Sam, U as in umbrella, R as in Roger, A as in apple, C as in Charlie, and A as in apple.
Okay.
Okay, and I also want to provide you here with my national producer number. And this number is very important because it lets you know that I'm appointed and licensed by the state of Ohio to talk with you here today about these state-regulated final expense life and burial protection programs. So that number is 1-9-2-6-68-45.
Okay.
Okay, great. And if you type that number in on a computer, you can pull up all my information. Just let you verify that I'm not a telemarketer, I'm not an operator, but I'm a fully licensed agent. And Joanne, I do know you're going to need my help applying to these state-regulated final expense plans. So I just want to tell you a little bit about why they're so special, how to apply for them, and then you can let me know what to do from there, okay?
Okay.
Okay, great. So these final expense benefits, they're very small, affordable, permanent whole life insurance policies that are regulated by the state. They're designed for people living on fixed or limited incomes like Social Security or disability. Now, even if you don't fall into those categories, the policies are designed so that any income level can have something affordable for their loved one's protection. These plans, they are permanent, which just means once you have the coverage in place, they can never change due to age or illness. And these policies also pay out within 48 hours It will probably be the first money your loved ones will see when that time does come. Okay, now, I've been doing this for a while, and my objective is just to find you the top tier benefits based on your age and your health. So I don't work for any one insurance company, I work for you. And my role is to find you the absolute best solution out of everything that's available. And if we could get you qualified here today, your benefits would be secured for your family by applying for them over the telephone without spending any money today. Okay, now, about how long have you been looking into life insurance for?
I'm for years.
Off and on, okay, for you, I gotcha. And have you ever been denied or turned down in the past?
No.
Okay, that's great news. Now, as a state licensed agent, it's my responsibility to get to know you a little bit so I can determine the best company, the best plan, and of course, the best price. So I do see you live in the beautiful state of Ohio. So were you born and raised there, or did you recently move there?
I was born here.
Oh, very nice. And how do you say your city? Is it, can you pronounce your city?
Pontiac.
Pontiac, okay.
Pontiac.
Is that a small town, or is it a pretty good size?
Yes.
Small town?
It's a small town, and I'm chuckling because I don't actually live in Pontiac. It's just a mail service.
Oh.
Kingsville.
Oh, I got you, okay.
It's a very small village.
I've actually never been to Ohio, so I'm sorry, I totally botched that name, so it's funny. But, I'm
No,
all.
it's all right. No, I didn't know, but they look at it.
That's funny. And is it starting to get pretty cool up there, or is it still pretty hot in Ohio?
It's cool. I mean, we live on Lake Erie, like literally on the shore.
Do you really?
So, yeah, so it kind of just shows like what the lake is doing and where the wind is blowing.
Oh, that's pretty
It's very
cool.
warm.
So you're in northern
Not
Ohio,
very
that's
warm, but
great.
it's warm today. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Very
that's
cool.
it. I mean, more northern without being Canadian.
That's too funny. Okay, awesome. I'm actually calling from Tampa, Florida, but I am licensed in the state of Ohio. Have you ever been to Florida by chance?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. And so you said you were born and raised in Ohio, and if you don't mind me asking, how's everything up there with the coronavirus? Is it starting to get a little bit better, or is it still pretty, everything closed down?
I would say it's getting a little bit better, but I've got kind of a rough handle because I do work for a healthcare system.
Oh, do you?
I only see people who are sick.
Oh, well, I definitely hope you stay safe. That's definitely scary, but thank you for what you do. I mean, that's amazing. So that's what I was gonna ask you next. So you're currently working right now?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you work at a hospital or do you work at like a doctor's office?
I'm actually administration and I work over mostly Northeast Ohio.
Oh, administration, okay.
Many locations.
Oh, very cool. Okay, so you travel a little bit, just around the area. And how long have you been doing that for?
Probably about 15 years.
Wow, 15 years, awesome. And do you plan on retiring soon, or? You definitely not hard. Any minute. That's funny. That's funny. So what do you like to do in your free time though, Joanne? Do you like to travel, I mean, outside the state, or what do you like to do? Do you spend time with your family?
Travel mainly.
Travel, okay. Where do you usually travel to?
Generally within the United States or Canada.
Awesome, awesome. So I actually never been to Canada, so can you just take I don't know how it works, can you just take a boat over Lake Erie to get to Canada, or do you have to fly there?
There are boats to go, tourist boats.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we usually drive because it's only a couple hours from here.
Oh, you drive, okay. Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, you can take a boat.
Very cool. So I know you mentioned you've been to Florida. What part of Florida have you been to?
Every part of it.
Every part. Have you been to Tampa?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah, it's, as you probably know, it's pretty hot down here. It's just more humid than anything, but Yeah, everything's starting to open back up here as well. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she actually is, she's gonna go back to school. She's been doing it online, but we decided to put her back in schools here in a few months, so it's kind of exciting. But do you have any, kids, Joanne?
No,
No, okay, no kids. And are you currently married, or you may be single, or you divorced, or widowed?
married.
You're married, okay.
I'm married.
And how long have you been married for?
That's to do the arithmetic. It's 39 years.
Wow, 39 years, really? That's amazing. That's, most people don't even last 3 years, let alone 39. So, what, do you have a secret for me? Do you have a secret that?
No.
Luck and patience, I guess. Very nice. So, awesome. And Joanne, are you looking for coverage for your husband as well, or just for you?
I was looking for me. He's quite a bit older. I don't know what the age cutoffs are. If he's 87.
He's 87, okay, I see. So you guys have been together for 39 years. That's truly remarkable. It really is. And how, if you don't mind me asking, how did you guys meet? I was like hearing about how people met. Have you guys known each other for a while?
He, as a hobby, restored antiques, and I had an antique desk that needed to be refinished.
Oh, really cool.
A mutual acquaintance told me that he did that type of work, so.
Awesome. That's so cool. So are you still in the antiques?
Not so much buying and selling anymore, just enjoying what we have.
Just enjoying what you have. Very cool. Okay, and when you say like antiques, are you talking about like armed wars? Are you talking, what kind of antiques do you have?
Well, basically, anything that would, turn a profit.
Oh, okay. So that's
The pieces that we like, so.
very cool.
There's classmates, furniture, there's, a little bit of everything.
Oh, that's so cool. So you used to just buy it, sell it? Wow,
Yes.
awesome. Okay, so that's very cool. And, so do you have any family though, other than your husband? Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Brother,
Brother, okay. So you have a brother. And what about your parents? Are they still with us here today?
one of them is,
Okay.
my mother is.
Your mom, okay. Your mom still does, and I'm sorry to hear that about your father. So you have one brother, and you said no kids, but do you have any nieces or nephews?
I have 2 nieces.
2 nieces, okay, very nice. 2 nieces. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all that with me. I kind of like to get to know my clients just so it makes my day go by a lot faster. So I do appreciate you sharing all that with me. And I can see why getting some final expense protection is an important decision to you, because just after talking with you for a few minutes, I can certainly tell you do love your family a lot. And making sure your family's protected is very important to me as well. I just want you to know that. So here's what I can tell you about these state-approved final expense plans. So
Okay. What do you guys think about that report?
He
Yeah.
kept cutting her off. And he didn't ask the names of the family members, the husband. And he brought up insurance. And he skipped a lot around the script, module 1. Some of the important parts, like the way he said the helpful things.
Sounds a little checklisty.
Yeah, he said, okay, cool. Wow.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
his
he wasn't
demeanor,
very
like his.
personable. It was like he was lacking that connection with them. Like she would say something, oh, cool. Like if someone was like, oh yeah, I have 2 nieces. Oh my God, I do too. How old are yours? It's like more of like a flow of the mouth. Like I really want to actually have this conversation with you instead of like it kind of sounding like forced.
Yeah, I felt like he was rushing through it because she would start to say something, okay, cool, like before, and awkward, like super awkward. It was making me cringe.
like a checklist.
It sounded like he was taking notes.
Yeah, I did.
So he would repeat back to her, okay, so you have a
Oh,
husband.
so you have a husband?
Okay, so you
Oh,
have a
Way
husband.
cool. How long have you guys been married? So he's going through the questions.
right.
He's just not giving her, and she was very bubbly. She's laughing. She's like, she was ready to share.
Right.
Had he taken time and really like, okay, so you got 87.
If you would have
he's
just stopped reading
at
and
any
just like
point
had
a conversation with
Yeah.
her, and even like he's asking follow-ups, but you could clearly tell that there is no connection, and he was literally going through a list. So he's doing the things, but he's not doing the thing.
You can tell it's
So-
very scripted.
Very much so. Yeah, very, very
And
much.
he's not enjoying it. I would have enjoyed that conversation. I would have.
Between the antiques and just tell me more, oh, that sounds so fun, and Way Cool was definitely his crutch. And she felt that as well. So, and you can tell, just being aware and just listening. And again, there were her husband, he doesn't know his name. You're talking about a husband that you've been married to for 39 years. Oh, that's way cool. Oh, that's a long
Especially
time.
since
Tell
you
me
didn't have
what's your
kids.
Right. So that was an opportunity that spend some time. This is the man that you love. You've been with him for 39 years. He went straight to you. Looking for coverage for him too? Oh, wow. So, I don't know you. I'm trying to decide if I even like you, and you making me. So
I
it
did
was.
like how you asked, like, how did you guys meet? Because for being married so long, like, I
That's a
think
good
that's
question.
good question.
If he was really
If he
trying
was
to,
genuine,
right?
right.
Because that is a question that we suggest asking. Nelson on the floor, he's like, how'd you guys meet? Was it love at first sight, or did he make you work for it? And then he'll spend a little time there, because
Right.
that is, you want them to feel like you care, not that, okay, that's a good question, but get them to talk. Like, you're asking more questions, and she was definitely open to responding and talking. He just didn't take advantage of the opportunity to really build rapport with her. And she was sweet. She was very nice. So, go ahead.
I also noticed, because he brought up his children and going to school during Corona before he even knew anything about her or her family. So that was
Him trying to offer up a story, but it wasn't relatable because he hadn't even addressed her kids, or he was talking about
Right.
family, but it
out
was
of
just
place.
randomly
out of order.
placed. Yeah, it wasn't general and genuine. And that was a area of opportunity for him that he never quite grasped. But also feeling rushed and just trying to get through it as opposed to taking your time. This is again an emotional sale. If you don't make that connection, you will not be able to. If you can't get good information and get them talking and feeling comfortable with you, and not even that she was uncomfortable, because she was open to that, but if you're not comfortable building rapport in mod 2, how are you going to ask the questions in mod 4 to get them to really open up and to have that heartfelt conversation when they feel like you just checklist me about all this stuff? I'm not going to tell you about someone that died in that past that really hurt me or affected me, and so on and so forth. So because she was nice, and she should have been a lay down, to be honest, because she said, no, I'm just looking for myself and blah, blah. And had he really done what he was supposed to do, that would have easily been a lay down. That is an example of a call where the person is nice enough to let you go through it, but when you don't make that connection 41 minutes in, she didn't have a bank account or know where her account was or something that didn't, she just wasn't comfortable. Yeah, she just was not comfortable. Even with prior to getting to mod 2, asking about the banking info, you do not want to skip over asking about that is a physical account set up at a, or that is a savings or checking account set up at a physical bank or credit union, correct? Not Direct Express or NetSpend. So he often got Direct Expresses and NetSpend because you have to ask that question. You don't want to just go all of the script. You don't ever want to just breeze through it to just ask the words. It is there for a reason. So getting them to say no or yeah, and they don't sound like, and you are sure, because if you breeze over it just to move forward, and then an hour into the call, you are collecting account information, they're like, oh, Direct Express. While it is acceptable, again, it's not worth the investment of your time to spend that much time on a call for something that may not pay out. And even if it does pay out, you're only getting a small commission for that month. So asking those questions are important. It's just not there for fun. It's there for purpose.
What are those? What'd you say, NetSpend and what?
Direct Express,
What
they're
are
like government accounts where they get their
They're like
benefits on.
prepaid, they're like prepaid
They're
cards
like
that you
credit
can
card.
load up. You can put money
Oh,
on
they're
it.
like debit cards.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
crazy.
But they're
But
prepaid.
it's not a
Yeah.
bank or anything.
What?
Yeah, it's just a preloaded card that you get your social security or disability on.
So
Yeah,
if
and then you
Capital
could
One and
go-
all them now have like online banking where you can open banking accounts through like Capital One, are those qualified?
If it has a routing and account number, yes. So, I mean, we are
I mean, it's
moving
not a
into.
physical bank.
Chime.
Right, we are, Chime is one
Chime.
that also
It's
does
not-
have routing and account numbers. So we are moving into an age where those types of accounts are being able to, because GAIAC is a system that we'll use to verify the accounts. So it's more so making sure that it is an actual account versus a prepaid card, because you'll get all the way to the end and it sounds good, but it will not go through as valid. And then you end up in the same situation where either it is just a card and you're only getting those small monthly paid as earned versus getting an advance and getting a full commission. But we're gonna learn more because they are opening more options. It's more having a routing and account number that you need to make sure that it has.
So, like, if you enter the routing and account number for a NetSpend, it's gonna let them know that that's a NetSpend. Because I
Yes.
know, like, people would try to be like, oh, yeah, I got an account, and they give you the routing account, and it was an actual green dot card.
Yeah,
It's
like
like-
the Cash App card as well.
Yeah,
You can get the deposit.
Yeah.
The system, we have a system called GAIAC that you
So
will
it
use to
eliminates.
check that information, but if they, you wanna be clear, so don't just take guesses, just like with the, yes answers to the knockout questions or any of the questions. If they sound unsure or they're hesitant, ask follow-up questions. You'd rather be safe than sorry. So there may be instances where you get all, and they're like, yeah, they've convinced themselves that it is one. And it may go through, it may not, but you know, you run that risk. So don't just ask for fun, ask for clarity and make sure that they are clear and that they understand.
He was like a guy just playing music without feeling the emotion or the music or anything. He was just,
Yeah. He was there,
Just a-
but he
just a note.
wasn't, he was not feeling it.
Was
So
he a newer agent to the industry? I felt like, or was he been around so long that he was stuck in his ways?
he didn't trust the process. He was new, but new enough, but old enough to still know that, because he came out fresh and open and was doing great because he was trusting the process. Then he started feeling like he was rushing, or like it was too long and they were time. But he put pressure on himself that he needed to get through them, and he was trying to do stuff, but because of that, he started taking stuff out, leaving stuff out.
So he didn't even need the pressure. He just made it a pressure.
And then he was not taking time or hitting the points. And again, going through the mods and saying the words, but not actually accomplishing the purpose of the mod defeats the purpose of moving through. So it's more than just the words. It's more getting the purpose of the mod accomplished before you move forward. So
Oh, I had a question. Do we have to, like, when we're given our national number and name, do we give the first and last name?
Your call, if your name's like complex, I don't typically up front. Sometimes they'll ask, but I wouldn't spend time in that moment spelling it out and going through all of that. Later on, you can, or you will, not can, but you will, and they'll have your email. You'll send them an email. They'll have information from you, so it's not like you're hiding your information, but you don't have to write up
I
front.
mean, when they pull up the NPI, if it's used to,
yeah.
they'll see it.
Yeah. And if they're asking, you don't want to withhold it, but it's really a personal judgment call on if you give that. Some people love saying their name because they love it. My name is usually people question, their eye wink, and it's like,
My name's
So-
easy, so I could just give you Melanie.
so yeah, some people, like, when it's that,
Yeah,
then
that's
usually
not up.
that happens easily, but like personally, I don't, just because my last name's long, and they ask questions, and they'll get it, but, you do want to make sure that you know your national producer number, so if you guys have them, go ahead and write that down in your script or notate it, period, because you don't want to be bragging about being this agent for life and having all this information and my national producer number, I have, it's 5, like, how long have you been doing this? So you want to make sure that, again, being prepared and ready is what you want to do.
1974, 26, 27.
That is-
That's an easy one.
That is 26, 27, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
that is. So memorize it,
Yeah,
write it.
memorize it.
When you are going through the role plays, use your national producer number. You're gonna wanna give it, you wanna get comfortable using it, so you might as well go ahead and start using it so that it comes like second nature. Speaking of which, I will reach out to Andrew to make sure I have all of you guys' information, but that's pretty much it for today. If you guys have any specific questions, need to stay after and ask questions, I am here. Other than that, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock sharp, please and thank you. Yes.
With the brow rub, don't act like you did not see the, yeah.
Unless I missed something, we have actually got 100 points that we have to go over this. I numbered them, so I don't miss one. And if somebody gets me off, what I'll do is I'll go right back to it.
100 points on what?
Well, we have like 100 bullet points.
So,
You know, for doing the script, there's 100 different points and sections that I have in here, bare minimum, that we have to make. Now, that is after I get through those first 2 pages, or, you know what I mean? Those are important, but.
Now you're like me, now you're overthinking.
No, I'm not, I'm not.
You're
Look,
close.
each one of the sections, each one of the
Okay.
sections, I have to hit on this, okay? If somebody
Yeah,
drags me
I'm
off
just
of
gonna
it,
read
I'm
it.
gonna be
I
taking
feel like if I
know
read
the
it
one
5
that I've
times, I'll
done,
like,
and I'll go right back to it.
whatever works for you, but that's the
Yeah.
first.
I feel yes.
That
I'm the first one.
points, yeah. But again, I told you, we all learn differently.
Yes.
Miss Madison, it's been real. I will talk to you tomorrow morning. Sorry for being all up in your face. I'll reach out to you via email.
Oh, sorry. 100